complexion of the season for both. Salford City Reds will line up like this: Hodgson at fullback, Vian, McGuinness, Jordan Turner and Wilshere. It's Luke Dawn who is captaining the side alongside Luke Robinson. Korkidas, Bethazen and Edmondson, Littler, Sibbett and Finnegan, that's the pack. And on the bench, Brocklehurst, Haggerty, Adamson and Jewett, and the coach is Carl Harrison. Now the Warrington Wolves, they have got bodies back, says coach Paul Cullen. Reardon at fullback, Farfili, Martin Gleeson, Gross and Barnett. Vinnie Anderson, there's still no Chris Bridge, but Lee Breers is there, he's the captain. Forwards, Rauhihi, Clark and Morley. Johnson in the second row with Westwood and Wainwright at loose forward. And on the bench here, Likevol, Mark Gleeson, Parker and Ben Harrison. The coach is Paul Cullen. Lights are on, the teams are on their way. Luke Dawn in the red, Lee Breers in the blue. It's a massive match for these two, this. Bottom end of the table. Neither of them want to be there come the end of the season. Before this campaign got going, both clubs had designs and ambitions to get into the top six again. Great welcome for them as they make their way out. Time for us to join our commentators. Bill, Phil, Barry and Terry. First of all, the voice you'll hear is that of Bill Arthur.
Yes, two of last year's playoff contenders are down on their luck this season. Salford have slipped to bottom of the table while the Wolves are in 10th. And despite that trio of top-line international recruits in Morley, Johnson and Anderson, Ben Thaler, the referee for this game then between Phil, possibly two of the most anxious sides of those here this weekend.
It is, and I think it's been reflective in the way they've played recently. Salford, although blown away by Wigan last week, in the first 40 minutes we almost went point for point with the Wigan side and yet fell away in the second half. I think the test of both of these teams is a complete 80-minute performance.
That 80-minute gets underway with the kick-off from David Hodgson and Warrington Wolves. First touch of the ball and Morley into the action. Great to see him back in the thick of things. Of course, wretched luck on his arrival in Super League with the Warrington Wolves with those two facial injuries. He's missed 10 of the 13 games so far, and I think he's probably just about accumulated a game and a half's worth of play for his new club. But he's back out there. Mind you, he was probably a bit anxious about this one, having been put on report against Bradford last week. Here he is again, and he'll be relishing the prospect of putting in a whole game's performance for his side. As Breers puts the kick in, and that's one for Wilshere to chase, and immediately Lee Breers finding his range on this pitch and giving Wilshere some work to do, and a good chase from the Warrington Wolves.
I think one of the key features for the Reds today is to try and put pressure on Lee Breers whenever he kicks the ball. They didn't get close to him. It allowed Breers to put in the perfect kick, one of the best in the game, and you can't start a game of rugby league better than that, other than of course scoring, which is I guess what Warrington will be focusing on now. Goal line dropout, minute of the game gone, perfect chance to strike.
Ben Westwood making his 130th Wolves appearance today. Incredible to think that. He really has clocked them up. So the dropouts bobbles towards the halfway line, where it's picked up by Morley, and he immediately gains 10 metres towards that Salford City Reds line. And problems for Carl Harrison going into this game. Andy Coley, who had a massive game, a massive first half certainly against Wigan, is absent, but Wolves have coughed up possession there, and it's snapped up by Mark Edmondson, who is having to operate at prop in Coley's absence. Coley, of course, strongly linked with a move to Wigan Warriors, which Salford City Reds have tried to scotch, but the rumours persist. Malcolm missing as well, so two key performers absent. Paul Heighton, another one who's not out there for them, so a lot of effort needed from people like Michael Korkidas.
But they only have to go back to their performance on Good Friday for Salford to have some self-confidence. They went try for try, lost of course just by the 2 points and the goal-kicking difference, but they can score, and they proved that against this Warrington side as McGuinness chips over here now, taken on the full by Reardon.
Now it's Warrington's turn to try and force their way away from their own try line, and Reardon wasn't tackled, says Ben Thaler, and he is able to make ground. almost up to the 30-metre line.
Do you know what?
He's lost that ball.
Well, there's a mistake, a knock-on. Oh, he's appealing for against that, but Ben Thaler says, no, you lost control of the possession getting up to play. In this game, we've got two of the best full-backs on show in Super League. Hodgson and Reardon are excellent at returning the ball.
Well, he might have a case there, Stuart Reardon. The Salford City Reds supporters here among the crowd today. Another great turnout in Cardiff. It has been a massively successful weekend. A great atmosphere in the city last night after the games had finished, with the fans out and about mingling. But here come the Salford City Reds with Simon Finnegan dumped to the ground. 2 tackles gone, just shy of that 20-metre line. Luke Robinson now. Robinson pulling the strings. Hodgson. Amazing to think that this is Hodgson's 75th consecutive appearance, 76th consecutive appearance. That is some effort from David Hodgson. 4th tackle there. Betterzen. Robinson. Oh, and Dawn. Well, there's the curse of the pitch. Just when he was putting the step on, the opening seemed to be there. The feet slipped from beneath him. Betterzen will go himself. He almost finds a way through. That's the turnover.
He's provided good value for Salford since he arrived from the Catalan Dragons, but unfortunately on too many occasions he's taken the wrong option, particularly on the last play. He went to run the ball. I think that wasn't the one that Carl Harrison, the Salford coach, would have favoured. That's particularly with Dawn and Robinson, who have good short kicking games.
Henry Farfili then. They're keeping the ball alive, the Warrington Wolves. Gleeson is tackled. Now here's Vinnie Anderson for Wainwright. 4 tackles gone. John Clark. Anderson. Paul Johnson now. Broughton, Richie Barnett, and Barnett in touch.
Excellent defence there by Luke Dawn. Warrington stretching out wide on the left-hand side. But I tell you what, that gives a team confidence when they'd prevent a try.
It was great work there by one. Good tackle there to get Richie Barnett into touch. But the good thing is, 2 athletic packs that both back rows for Salford and Warrington were ex-centres. So there's a lot of speed out there in the show. We've got Adrian Morley, who's playing against his hometown team, who's going to be one a massive game. He took on the Bradford pack last week at Bradford and come out on top.
Luke Dawn does have big boots to fill after Andrew Duneman, and there have been 1 or 2 doubts about his defence. Well, he made his case there.
I think the difference between the 2 packs lies in the front row. Edmondson normally a back rower, and it's often misleading with squad numbers, and although Adrian Morley is wearing number 11, he's an international front row forward, and you look at Rauhihi and Morley, and my God, the 2 intimidating lads then, and you need to be strong and you need to be powerful when you're up against those players.
Especially since Paul Rauhihi has gone for the big hair look, it makes him look another 6 inches taller. And Salford trying to make progress against this ferocious defending. There is Rauhihi. Former New Zealand Royal Navy fitter he was in his younger days.
That's a better option by Bertezen.
That is a good kick. Oh, it's putting Reardon under pressure. He doesn't know how much pressure.
John Walsh is now penalised.
He's unlucky there, isn't he?
He said his arms had been touched the floor, tackle completed, and he went on to try and force him back in goal. It's a great chase by Wilshire. Again, consistently one of Salford's top performers. And a relief, I suppose, for Warrington that they're not having to drop kick from underneath their own posts.
But they showed good urgency, Salford, there. It was a very intelligent kick with an even better chase.
John Wilshire, a former Warrington man. Here's Westwood now, so they've got off the hook there. They were looking as though they're going to be pinned right on their own try line. Now they're almost up to their own 40-metre line and keeping the ball alive. Oh, lovely hands from Morley to Johnson, another one of the close season recruits for this Warrington Wolves side.
Isn't it great to look at the players these days? I think we're getting closer and closer to the multi-changeable player that can play in any position. We've got forwards playing in the backs and likewise with backs in the forwards. It's fantastic to watch the skills on show.
Breer's plenty of experience playing in this stadium as a Welsh international, a really dedicated server of the Welsh cause. Vinnie Anderson went without it, desperately tried to cling on to it, and that just about sums up his feelings.
The Warrington side are a team though who like to keep the ball alive. You've got forwards passing into short support play for Vinnie Anderson. You know, he went 100 metres last week at Bradford, an interception try. If he gets through, there'll be very few players can catch him.
Get it in. Head in. Stay out.
So a pretty rapid start to this game.
One, come on.
But yet to see the first points after 8 minutes.
Shoulder.
Edmondson doing well there.
2.
Back in Super League after his spell in Australia with the Roosters.
3. Move back.
3 tackles gone. Well, if Salford were anxious going into this game, maybe this opening, the start from them might have just settled a few of the nerves.
I think they've made a positive start, haven't they? But they've played well in several games and lost. They've played poorly in one game and actually won at Hull Kingston Rovers. So I think the major thing, though, I suppose, coming down here to Cardiff was that they went home with 2 points. I'll not be too bothered about their performance. They just need to win.
That was an ambitious ball from Dawn. Finds McGuinness. Oh, and that was forwards, says Ben Thaler. And Gravian looked as though he was on his way to his first try for the Salford City Reds, but that was forward. That's the view right from the sideline, level.
Do you know what, though? You wouldn't think that both of these teams are at the bottom of the division, where they're throwing the ball out, they just want to play rugby, they're throwing the ball. Lee Breeze coming in, orchestrating everything good that Warrington do. And you'll see Luke Robinson always taking the ball to the line, taking on the big blokes, and he's not scared of getting a good wallop.
That may be the advantage of perhaps watching the game yesterday, Tez. They've had a look at the conditions, perhaps they've changed the footwear they was going to wear, and again, look at the open spaces.
That ball seemed to come loose. Mike Wainwright let it slip, according to the Salford players. Well, it went backwards, and now it's Warrington on the attack. A looping ball infield from Farfili. Did he lose this? Oof. Backwards, said the referee. So, oh, that's ricocheted kindly on the try. Well, what a freak bounce. And Johnson was there, the first to react. And how unlucky was that for Salford City Reds, and how swift the reactions of Paul Johnson as that ball came ricocheting back. Wrong footing all the Salford defence, not wrong footing Paul Johnson. And back in the side, getting the try, but not without a bit of controversy.
Well, here's the incident involving the tackle. Does Wainwright lose it? Without a shadow of a doubt. That's a knock-on. Every Salford player knew it. The referee was the only one in the stadium who probably didn't. But you can't take anything away from the kick. Lee Breer's always dangerous when he kicks the ball in the last play. Reminiscent of a try that Widnes scored in a cup semi-final once. Ball bouncing off the crossbar. The look of the bounce, and it went in Warrington's favour. Paul Johnson just happy it bounced right into his hands.
And the kick not presenting too much of a difficulty for Lee Breers as he bangs that one through. So Paul Johnson making his first start in the second row for the Warrington Wolves, getting his 3rd try of the season, and he was the first to react to that. A wicked kick, a wicked bounce off this pitch, which, as Alan Bateman was saying, is very firm indeed.
You can see Lee Breeze will be saying to everyone tonight how much he practices that out on the training field, and he knew that it was going to happen. Paul Johnson pounced on it.
When you play against Lee Breeze, you often think that the thing about him is his unpredictability, but when you get a team that's on the same wavelength as Warrington are and are in the right places all the time, then them things are going to come off more often than not.
Morley hammering that ball back.
It'd be very interesting to know what Salford players were saying while stood waiting for that goal kick. A very cruel decision went against him. It was a knock-on by Wainwright. But what are they thinking about? The next 60 seconds or the last 60 seconds?
That's a good drive, that. Look at the metres he's made there.
That's Rauhihi taking it up. And Warrington looking to capitalise on that opening score. Edmondson in the tackle. So too Kevin McGuinness. John Clark, he really has risen to the challenge. While his teammates have been dropping around him through injury, John Clark has stood firm. Had to get through a lot of responsibility, and Reardon almost stepping through the gap. Korkidas clinging onto his bootlaces. The kick from Clark. Gross chasing. Hodgson, dependable as ever, but he's not going to get out of danger. Richie Barnett was there 75 consecutive appearances from David Hodgson. That is some effort, isn't it?
You know, slightly longer grass on the field here means that the goal kicks into the in-goal area are sitting up more, and it's an opportunity to win that goal line dropout that teams work so hard for.
Well, Carl Harrison has had a tough week and could do with a little ray of sunshine in his life after what his beloved Leeds United have been through this week. Him and James Lowe's, his assistant, sharing their devotion for Leeds, and of course going down.
A massive play here, Bill, for Salford. They didn't fancy having to defend for 6 more tackles, and somehow the referees found a knock-on against Warrington.
It's right at the end there, Phil, I think, just as he dives on it now.
Yeah.
You've got it, honestly, Paul Rowhee, when he runs that ball, tough guy. If I found him in bed with my wife, I think I'd tuck him in.
Well, Paul Rowhee had his problems last season, but the back injury, Warrington fans didn't see a great deal of him. Breers has snaffled that. He's in for the interception, unless Finnegan can get him, he won't. Oh, that was poacher extraordinaire. Yep, that's right. T for talent. And Lee Breers, Welsh international captain, getting his 5th try of the season. And that, when you're really down at the bottom of the table and up against it, is a hammer blow for a side with confidence as fragile as the Salford City Reds.
Well, it's also P for predictable, because you know Lee Breers is going to go for the interception. He prefers to go for the ball than maybe even make the tackle, and more often than not he comes up with possession, just where he senses the pass is going to be made. And the fantastic skill, you know, he makes that look very easy, throws out the right arm, but to softly tap the ball up with the first touch and then catch it successfully with the second is a sign of a skillful player.
Well, Lee Breers passed 2,000 career points recently, and he has an eye for the try line. He has an eye for the goalposts as well. He's kicked 31 so far this season, and this one will be one of the more difficult ones he'll have faced. Pushes it across the face of the posts, but it's a good start for the Warrington Wolves, 10-0 up, and Salford City Reds, well, the bounce of the ball not going their way. The first one definitely the bounce of the ball, the second one the flight of the ball.
He's a great player for Warrington, Lee Breers, just starting his testimonial year. What Lee Breers done there, we saw yesterday Thomas Luluai for Wigan, he shot out the line which led to a try. When you shoot out the line like that for an interception, you've got to come up with the ball.
Hodgson with the restart, and once more it's Adrian Morley. So Salford have got to regroup now. They've got to try and get a foothold back in this game. They started well, they were going toe-to-toe with Warrington early on, but those 2 tries and the way they were scored, that's what they've got to recover from.
Well, Salford can take a bit of heart from the fact that it's not as if their line's been broken, they're not smashed out of the way by any big plays or muscle through strength or skill. It's simply been the interception and an element of luck and the bounce of the ball off the crossbar. So I think it's important Salford maintain the confidence that they carried in the opening few minutes through.
Well, Salford 10-0 down. They've got other problems. Let's go down to the sidelines and join Ben.
That's right, Bill, and it concerns a former Warrington Wolf, Ian Sibbett. He came off 5 or 6 minutes ago with the left foot screaming. He screamed in pain when the doctor pulled the boot off him, and that left foot is now packed in ice on the sideline in the Salford dugout.
So that's another injury blow by the sound of things for Carl Harrison.
John, well done.
Ian Sibbett, one of the very experienced players in this Warrington and Salford side. The kick from Robinson is snaffled by Breers. Johnson, he's got 1 try already. He's going to get a second, is he? Just couldn't make it to the try line. Very, very close. Salford doing well to get back and just haul him down. Littler was there.
Get up!
So Barnett Breers managing to get the ball out. It's gone backwards, it's gone forward, surely it has by now.
Well, the bounce of ball certainly going in Warrington's favour at the moment, but the Salford side, I was impressed there. The recovery particularly good. Was Hodgson offside? I think he probably was. Just in front of the kicker, he touches the ball. It should have been a penalty. As it was, Warrington went on and played with their advantage. You thought Johnson might make it, but look, there's 4 Salford players do a good enough job to prevent him scoring, and then Vian gets involved and eventually a fumble and mix up and another knock on. Salford still surviving at 10 points to 0.
It's great vision though, isn't it, coming off Luke Robinson, coming off their own line, they're playing a basic kind of football. But to have the vision with David Hodgson to tee up that kick over the field, and when things go for you, they go for you.
I think the power and the strength and the sheer size of the Warrington pack means that Salford need to be agile and need to make the most of the agility of the players that are playing in the pack for them.
Oh, Korkidas has lost that ball, and they're doing it for the Salford City Reds. Bertazen consoling Korkidas. Korkidas complaining that Rauhihi was all over the ball there, and it's Warrington who get the benefit of that decision, as Korkidas is adjudged to have come up with the error, the recruit from the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats during the close season. Vinnie Anderson in that standoff role, he's familiar with that position. Now here's Rauhihi, he's played at this ground with New Zealand, as has Henry Farfili and of course Lee Breers as well. Here is Breers. Wainwright had time to turn and look to his right and then his left and found Reardon. Reardon almost through. Needed a desperate tackle by Littler again. Clark, Wainwright, straight at the middle for Morley. Right underneath those posts. John Clark, Lee Breers, so he'll stab the kick in. Oh, and the follow-up. Eventually, it's Luke Robinson who picks it up. And it was a Warrington knock-on in the end. Ben Westwood just couldn't control the touchdown.
Real good test of the mental toughness in the Salford side here. Having to hang on the tough opening quarter, but the surviving 10 points isn't there much in rugby league, particularly when you consider the good ball that Warrington have had in good field position. Salford have just got to ride through this storm, but they look a little flat. They need somebody to get them out of their own half.
We'll talk about David Hodgson and his consecutive appearances, but Stuart Littler there just playing the ball. 85 consecutive appearances. McGuinness ducking under the challenges, but eventually stopped by Johnson and Wainwright. There is Littler.
They're only backs though, Bill, they don't do anything.
Luke Dawn, he's tackled about 40 metres out, and Salford need a decent set of 6. Finnegan, Robinson, Hodgson, this could be more than decent. This could be very good indeed. The ball's still alive. Wilshire, has he got the strength? No, that's good defence in the end. And Carl Harrison knows that they're not going to get many opportunities like that, and Gleeson with the hard work. That's
an amazing tackle. John Wilshire is incredibly strong, but the leg drive from Gleeson on his line, you just thought there were so many Salford jerseys, a myriad of red options, but they didn't find the right one, and Gleeson's tackle, well, a clear match try-saver.
And that look explains it all. The Salford Reds coach going through the mangle at the moment emotionally. And his side penalised at that scrum.
They've just compounded the error, haven't they? They need to spend some time at this end of the field, Salford. Will release the pressure there now, Warrington, where this kick should get them 30-40 metres away from their own half. In fact, it's a fantastic kick to touch that. One of my pet subjects. Often it's a wasted opportunity to gain ground, but Warrington haven't wasted that one.
Westwood, as Warrington move into that Salford City Reds half. And here's Chris Lightvoll. Burley prop forward off the Warrington bench. Morley. Characteristic little shimmy as he took the ball. 20 metres out now, Warrington. Wainwright. Tackled by Finnegan. Always gets through, plenty of work from Finnegan. Clark. Vinnie Anderson. Oh, and Anderson ghosting through, stretching out, getting the try. picked to stand off in the absence of Chris Bridge, and for a big man showing lovely skill and footwork there, a little burst of acceleration, and Warrington, to the delight of their supporters, taking a grip on this game. And Vinnie Anderson with the try, his 6th of the season, and a try scorer in successive games for the Warrington Wolves.
He's the modern-day, multi-talented, versatile player that every coach dreams of in rugby league. Takes the ball to the line and makes that look so easy. It is his speed and agility that gets him to score here, and it's an important one. You think in 60 seconds, Salford have gone from one end of the field where they should have scored to the other where they have conceded, and that's a killer blow for any side. Pretty happy in the Warrington camp. It's what they wanted, all going as they planned.
It seems to have pleased a few Bulls supporters as well. They're still awaiting their turn, that game to come. And this conversion attempt, 31 metres out, around the corner for Lee Breers, and he should succeed. Well, he's missed with that one. He's disappointed. But 14-0, not disappointing for the Warrington supporters.
Well, you see here, 4 attackers. In fact, there's 5. Richie Barnett's just out wide. Only 3 Warrington defenders with a winger out wide as well. I thought he'd taken the wrong option. You saw the amount of players he had, but he backed himself, went through the gap, and then did what he wanted to do, get over the line. Killer blow.
You know, one of the big differences with the both teams now, the Warrington forwards leading up to that try. Leading up to that try, they were all landing on the front, getting a quick play the balls. That's where Salford seem to be struggling. They're not finding the front. The body angles are all wrong going into the tackle, and that's why they're losing the ruck.
Well, while this is going on, of course, the Leeds players are here. They get to change in the main dressing rooms in the Arms Park. The others in the Millennium Stadium, the other sides changing in the Arms Park dressing rooms, which are not to be sniffed at. It's a fabulous facility here. Lightfall. So Warrington ahead by 14 points to 0.
You know what, if you measured the amount of metres that Warrington make when they're clearing the half, they're making more and making them easier than Salford are able to do. The simple fact of go forward, as coaches talk about, Warrington are winning that battle, and I can't see how Salford can reverse the trend.
Here is Morley once more. He's got a lot of time to make up.
See, they're a perfect example. A 10-metre game with that one run, and now John Clark kicks with no real pressure on him.
Cheers.
And Hodgson, well, hoping that would run dead, but as we've seen already, this very lush pitch, big in-goal areas, you can't afford to take chances, but they do get away. Well, that just really tells it all, the way Warrington have dominated this first half, and as Luke Robinson struggles to make progress, Salford have struggled to get out of their own half. Brocklehurst trying to do that. Ex-Halifax and London Broncos man. Wiltshire in from the wing.
Come on. Hold it, hold it.
Bertazen, Luke Robinson. Stifled by the Warrington defence, and the 5th tackle sees Salford kicking from inside their own 40. Dawn hoping in vain for a 40-20 and just comfortably into the arms of Stuart Reardon.
And you can tell when a player's done his homework. Stuart Reardon positioned himself. He prepared on where Luke Dawn prefers to kick the ball. A right-footed kicker likes to kick to that left-hand corner, and was perfectly placed to take the ball on the full.
Brocklehurst really put it in there. That's maybe a morale-boosting tackle for his teammates, but then I think they're going to need a little bit more than that to lift themselves here.
When you talk about a lift, Gareth Haggerty is the type of player for Salford, if he can get his hands on the ball, who could provide that lift. He can make an impact.
Well, they're making an impact now. Warrington, Gleeson back in field, and the ball ends up in the hands of David Hodgson. And then more good news for the Salford City Reds. They get the penalty, so they've got off the hook there, and then Warrington concede the penalty, and they'll be able to get out of their own 10 metres area.
The Warrington forwards are looking very formidable, and the way they're coming onto the ball, as Phil correctly said, they're making 10 metres at a time, but that's because they're winning the first 2 play the balls, and as soon as that gets on, the defence is on a back foot all the time, and it's very difficult to win the next few tackles after that.
Well done, good listening. Come on.
Well, we talk about Salford's problems, but Warrington have lost their last 4 in Super League. And it just shows how close the competition is, that they're in 10th place, and yet a victory here will boost them to the fringes of the top 6. Meanwhile, Hodgson looking to boost his side, and Finnegan is there. But what a chase from Anderson, and great support from Dawn as he does so well, and Dawn gets the try. And that is the lift that the Salford City Reds needed. I'm not sure that it's going to take a bit more than that to get Carl Harrison up, but that's got his side up. They're on the scoreboard at least.
We've seen some spectacular tries over this Millennium Magic, but I don't think David Copperfield, Paul Daniels or anybody else could have come up with the magic there that Salford have found. That's a great try to score. They've been under pressure now for the last 20 minutes, and they've found a way of getting themselves back into this game. You know, Salford don't score that many tries from within their own half, and this is a rarity for them, but it's a real quality one. Because Warrington worked so hard here to get back, they make life difficult for Finnegan, and but for the pace of Dawn and his support, that wouldn't have been the first try for the Reds. The shift outside, Hodgson and Wilshire are the 2 strike players for the Reds. They found Hodgson. He's passed slightly behind Finnegan, he couldn't get there, but Luke Dawn was brought to the Salford side to finish opportunities like this, and he's just done exactly so.
And Wilshire, who's been a very reliable goal kicker this season, adds 2 more valuable points for the Salford City Reds. And Luke Dawn's try, well, he was the top try scorer for Harlequins last season. As Phil said, that was the character, the quality that Salford wanted him to bring to this side, and he was in support there of Finnegan. And obviously, well, they like the look of him.
Which one's Mrs. Robinson? It's Luke Robinson, isn't it?
That is a thing, yes.
That's stalker material.
I think that try came about, and I've talked before about enthusiasm, and Salford need to be enthusiastic because they can't match Warrington for power, and they isolated that middle man. It was Lightvolt that missed the last-ditch tackle, and that's what I think Salford need to do.
So 14 points to 6 now, Warrington leads. And here is the Luke of their affections, Robinson. Bertazen. Jordan Turner. The 18-year-old centre, who's played in 7 of the last 8 games and acquitted himself very well. Now needs a good kick. Or are they running it? They're going to. And it's the kick in the end from McGuinness. It didn't quite pan out as they were hoping, so McGuinness has to put that one down near the Warrington try line, and they're offside of the chasers.
Well, they've been a great set, hadn't it? After scoring the try, kicking the goal, 6 points, they're back in the game. They then get to the halfway line, and they've still got the confidence to run the play on the last tackle, kicking it when there's no further advantage to be gained. But what a shame again. The second time you see Luke Dawn just conceding a penalty so close to Warrington's line, and it takes the pressure off the Wolves.
Well, Luke Dawn was questioning that decision from Ben Thaler, and he might have had a point. It was, in the end, it was a good kick from McGuinness that had put Reardon under a bit of pressure.
Don't forget, you know, Warrington's first try came about after Mike Wainwright had clearly dropped the ball. This really should be an 8-6 scoreline at the moment, and Salford need to believe that they are still competitive, but continue to try and compete around this ruck. The quick play of the balls from Warrington now starting to hurt.
Lightvolt able to make easy yards there for Warrington, and Clark continuing. So they're now only 25 metres away from that Salford line. Here is Lightvolt once more. On the last now. And Breers just eyeing up the options, and he decides that he's going to just dink that one into the air, and Wilshire very coolly able to deal with that one. And Paul Cullen probably saying we need to be a bit more threatening with the kicks.
Not here, in the middle.
Not enough hang time on that kick, Bill. I think when you put a ball like that, you need to give your chasers every chance, and another extra second with a bit more height and giving that chaser a chance.
Marcus! Still got that, yeah.
Haggerty missed the defeat by Wigan last weekend, and now Salford in possession. struggling to make progress. Just over the 40-metre line. Bertezen change of direction. Brocklehurst now. But the Warrington defence smothering them, and Bertezen can't make any progress.
He's nicked it.
And he has stolen that one. Great work from Breers. What a first half he has had. A real poacher. Poached the try, poached the ball there.
He's got great presence of mind, Lee Breers, and like I say, sometimes he is unpredictable.
And so Salford nick it back. And they get the penalty. And Paul Johnson just trying to slow down the threat there.
Well, this is a rarity now with the interception by Vian and then a penalty conceded. And we haven't seen too much of Salford in good attacking position.
Well, there they are in the dressing room. Big Joe and Yestin and Terry Newton watching the match. Waiting for their turn to take the stage here. Bertezen.
Big Joe didn't like the look of himself on the big screen, I don't think.
Oh, McGuinness is going to find himself in touch. Good work. But in fact, the ball had gone forward first. Gross in there, Richie Barnett.
Well, this is a shame, isn't it? So early in the tackle count, Salford having a chance to strike, but he's lost possession, lost the ball, he's carried out of play. The only major concern for Warrington now is the injury that appears to have happened to Paul Johnson.
All right, 10 metres. On the 20, please. Lads, Paul, you go.
Johnson, who's had his misfortune with injury since coming to his new club. And I wonder if they'll see whether they can get him to half-time. He's a tough cookie.
Speaking of tough cookies, Rob Parker's on for Warrington. He'll give him a big lift. His great footwork at the line, getting on to get a quick play of the ball, and his defence. He comes up with some big shots for a little man.
One, move!
Gross.
Hold!
Here's Reardon. Bouncing away, trying to get away from the
Get hand out!
the tackle of Lee Jewett.
Shoulder.
And Jewett involved again. Former Wigan youngster who went off to Australia to get a bit of experience with Cronulla. He's got a broken hand as well, which set him back, but has a lot of talent.
An ex-Waterhead player as well, my old amateur club. The club that set on the road to stardom people like Kevin Sinfield and Paul and Danny Schoolthorpe.
What happened to you?
Breers now. This time he's going to hoist the kick. He's going to put David Hodgson under a little bit of pressure. Westwood chasing and he closes him down, but Hodgson solid as a rock, ever present at full-back this season.
What a great catch that was, wasn't it? Arms up in the right position, elbows in tight, took the ball, took the tackle. And with this 5 minutes here now to half-time, I think both sides have really gone at a high pace. Very few stoppages in the game. Looking to try and get another try just before the break.
Well, Paul Johnson has had to leave the field, in fact, and Ben Westwood returns in his place, so there obviously is a problem. Wilshire struggling to get to his feet, hoping in vain that the referee might give the penalty to his side. So the kick turns Richie Barnett around, has time to gather the ball, sees Reardon alongside, and goes himself, the former Leeds Met student, a student rugby league international, Richie Barnett. Now here is Reardon, long-serving Bradford Bulls player, tackled on his own 30-metre line. Breers now. Breers, just ghosted through the challenge. Farfili is on his shoulder, and Farfili, has he got the legs to beat Hodgson? Hodgson is trying to close him down. Farfili will get there, despite the efforts of the Salford fullback. And Henry Farfili gets try number 10. And again, Lee Breers, so involved, so creative in this first half. Well, he created that one for Henry Farfili. And Henry Farfili, as I've said, is no stranger to this stadium, and a try scorer against Salford in the previous nail-biting win for Warrington.
Well, the great players in rugby league inject themselves when they sense an opportunity. Breers' vision there, he just knew the dummy half position there was a chance. His dummy and creation, his vision really is fantastic. What he is allied with is a player who's got the speed here to convert this chance into a try, and an important one before half-time. I thought Hodgson had a chance to catch him, but it just goes to show how quickly Henry Farfili is. Great try there for Warrington. Good goal.
So they raise a glass to Henry Farfili. Played here in 2002 for New Zealand against the Welsh. And he's missed just 2 games in the last 83 for the Warrington Wolves, and brings a lot of power to their side and plenty of tries as well. Lee Briers brings plenty of points, but not so far this afternoon with the boots, as that one dies a death in front of the posts, but he's doing plenty else right.
Well, it's the marker's responsibility and the tight defenders to look after the dummy half, the man who gets the ball from the play of the ball. That's Lee Briers in this situation, and none of those 4 guys are able to stop him breaking the line. When he breaks the line, the timing of his pass is critical, I think, there, to allow Henry Farfee to score there wide out in the corner. Great play from a wonderfully talented, skillful half-back.
Sound, guys.
I'm not sure whether the ground regulations say anything about wearing a shirt. Do you think it might be, we might have to have a word?
We might introduce that rule for next year.
Come on!
What about the commentary box, Bill?
You're all right.
I don't want to put my shirt on now.
You don't have to put it on.
You're going to have to put your shirt back on, though, aren't you?
I will if you will.
Come on, hold.
I just like to feel the fresh air on my body.
That's 3.
Is that why you're a member of that association?
3.
Can't talk about that association, Bill.
Come on.
They're on the 40-metre line.
Have another go. Come on.
Our Warrington Wolves, and Salford, sensing maybe a way back into this game, have been rocked back again. And John Clark, sniping run from the hooker. Ben Thaler barking out instructions on the last. Briers hounded by Robinson, but getting away from him and thinking maybe he could find a way through. And in the end, the kick drifts out of play from Gleeson, and that was a disappointing end to that set of 6. But it's not going to be a disappointing end to this half for the Warrington Wolves. Still managed to find the field of play. And Gleeson, another one who knows what this stadium is like, and he knows what it's like to win here as well.
I think they're all just looking up at the clock there on the big screen. Adrian Morley, what, 30 seconds?
Well, I think Adrian Morley's wondering how long he has to stay on. It's as much time as he's done for a good while, his boss.
Come on. Marcus, well
The seconds running away from Salford in this first half.
2. Come on.
And they've got a bit of work to do if they're going to challenge Warrington Wolves for the points in this game and keep in touch at the bottom of the table with Hull Kingston Rovers, because of course Rovers' win yesterday in the big game against Hull FC has opened up a bit of daylight at the foot of the table, and at the moment there's daylight between these 2 sides, and Corkidas and Westwood just exchanging pleasantries, and Morley just returning to the scene just to make sure there was no funny business going on. But here's Warrington Wolves' side have taken control of this game, and at the break they're ahead by 18 points to 6.
Yes,
Factor for